a great magic act this year at Alonzo in a Cyclo Circus. It's a great magic act. Anybody who likes magic and magic shows would most definitely like to see this guy. It's very humorous, very topical, involves the audience. Very good show. It's a half hour, fast-paced. I really enjoyed it. Love magic acts. Love magic acts. So my mom was one of the greatest magicians I ever knew when it came to food. Because I'm one of the most finicky eaters of all time. I like meat and potatoes, and that's about it. And my mom would make things like broccoli and cheese look very, very good. And then I would eat it and hate it. And of course, coming from the orphanage, you ate what was on the plate, and so I'd eat everything. And oh my goodness, when broccoli and cheese was on there, even though it looked good, hated it. And one time, she made this meat and mashed potatoes and gravy and corn, and it looked like the greatest meal I ever ate in my life. And I go to cut into the meat, and I go take a bite. It was with gravy, and I'm taking a bite, and I'm like, this is not any good. I thought it was spoiled. I thought it was bad. Turned out it was liver. Now, I don't know about you who like liver. I don't know. Kenny was shaking his head. He's getting sick thinking about it. I don't like liver. If you like liver, God bless you. That's more for you to eat. You can have it. I don't like it. And, you know, of course, I'm trying to eat it. My mom's like, just eat that. Close your nose. Drink milk. Whatever you got to do, get it down there. Oh, I get sick thinking about it. But it was deceptive. It looked like regular meat until you ate it, and it just not any good at all. And just like the magic show, you know, I swear the rabbit was not there a second ago, and Goofy's there. It's deceptive. It's not real. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of coordination between the magician and his props and the assistants that are helping him. It takes a lot of time and timing and choreograph to make it look effortless. And the man was outstanding. Just like my mom was really good to make food that really is good for you, but I didn't like, looked really edible. It still, when you get right down to it, it wasn't good. I didn't like it. And when you get right down to it, the rabbit was always there somehow. Deceptive. And that's what makes illusions great. How did they do that? Again, a wolf in sheep's clothing is somebody who, on the outside, appears to be something they are entirely not. How many of us have ever came across a crafty salesman? And boy, this guy is just feeding it to us, and it's like, man, this deal looks great. It's awesome. And you always hear in the back of your mind, your parents maybe have said this to you when you're a little kid, is, if it's too good to be true, guess what? It is too good to be true. It's generally not true. And so you come across some of these salesmen, those snake oil salesmen who try to scam you, and you can buy into it. They outwardly appear to be something they're not. But when you get to the heart of the matter, you realize that they're wolves in sheep's clothing. We've come across people like that. Maybe you know some people in your lives who appeared one way, and then when you got to know them, when the veil was revealed and you got to see the wizard, they weren't what they appeared to be. I'm sure we've met somebody like that in our lives. I met a man named Sean Morrison. It's a guy who introduced me to Jesus, and what attracted me to want to seek him out was what he radiated through his eyes. Have you ever met somebody and the way that they look, you just know that, man, they have something that you want. Maybe they're happy. You just know that they believe in Jesus. Have you ever met somebody like that where you can just tell? They radiate. And it's generally through the eyes. That was Sean Morrison. That was Sean Morrison. And again, I shared a story. We were at the KFC in Connersville baseball draft, and he wore this Jesus shirt. And I thought, what kind of a lunatic's going to wear a Jesus shirt here? He did. But I was at a dark period in my life. And have you ever been so dark in your life that if anybody took a little pinhole, if all these windows were all black and we had no light in here and somebody put a pinhole, that would be the brightest light we'd ever seen in our life, just a little pinhole. And that's where I was in my life. And Sean had that little bit of a pinhole of light, and I was attracted to it. He has something that I want. What is it? And as I got to know him and I got to talk to him, it became very evident it was very clear from the very beginning he had Jesus. He was wearing that shirt, and he not only wore it, he lived it. He was Jesus. I'm a Christian. We hear people say that all the time. I'm a Christian. Why are you a Christian? Because I go to church. Okay? Why are you a Christian? Because I do good things. Okay? A wolf in sheep's clothing is going to come through that door just like we will. And the devil himself is not going to be wearing horns and a pitchfork and going to be dressed in red. He's going to look much holier and probably much better than we will. That's just the way it is. If you read the Bible, we all have found the story of the temptation of Jesus. And what did Satan do? He told Jesus, I'll give you anything and everything you want if you just bow down to me. You just bow down, I'll give you everything you want. You think the devil's going to come here and try to mess your life up? No, his job is to take you away from Jesus, and he will do anything and everything he can to get you from Jesus, even if that is giving you the lust of your heart. God will give you the desires of your heart. Satan will give you the lust of your heart. Two different things. Make it happen. He'll smooth that path out for you if he wants to. Anything and everything he can do to try to get you in there. One of my favorite movies of all time is called The Unusual Suspects. It's a very good movie. And it's basically about these guys that are chasing after this mythical so-called criminal. And his name escapes me. If anybody's watched it, but it's an unusual name. Anyways, Kevin Spacey's in it, and he says a line to the police. He said the greatest trick that Satan ever did was to convince the world that he did not exist. It's the greatest trick Satan ever did was to convince the world that he did not exist. If I were the devil, that's one thing I would want to do. Everything is all about how you feel now in these day and age. How you feel. I feel good, therefore I am good. If I'm good, that's all I need. I'm going to go to heaven. Jesus said the only way to get to heaven is through him. Can I get through heaven by feeling good? You cannot get through heaven by doing good. You get through heaven by believing in him and accepting him. That is the only way to get to heaven. It's the only way to get to heaven. I'm a Christian. It's much more than just saying we're Christians. Jesus said in Luke 11:33 through 36, Jesus says, no one lights a lamp and then hides it or puts it under a basket. No one lights a lamp and then hides it, puts it under a basket. What's the point in hiding? You got a light, you want to shine it for the whole world to see. You don't want to put it underneath the basket. You've heard these people, and I've been around people, and we've all heard people say, well, you know what, I have my own personal religious beliefs. I worship my own way. Well, Jesus tells us here we need to shine that light. We need to shine it, show people who we follow. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where its light can be seen by all who enter the house. Your eye is a lamp that provides light for your body. When your eye is good, your whole body is filled with light. But when it is bad, your body is filled with darkness. Make sure that the light you think you have is not actually darkness. If you are filled with light with no dark corners, then your whole life will be radiant, as though a floodlight were filled you with light. Now we need to figure out how can we detect who the wolves in sheep's clothing are. How do we detect somebody is who they are? Well, it's very simple. If these windows were all black and we shine the light from here, everybody's going to see. If I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to shine a bright light in your face. And what happens when a bright light's in your face? You can't see. If I shine it, look into the sun. Can you see by looking directly into the sun? No way. A wolf in sheep's clothing is going to shine a light, all right? It's going to shine a light to where you can't see. He's going to blind you with deception. Just like the assistants at the magic trick, their job is to deceptively move your eye from what the magician's really doing, so that way he can make the trick look real. That's what a wolf in sheep's clothing does. Because he shines that light to where you cannot see. We've all been blinded by people before. Also, a wolf in sheep's clothing points the road to himself. He points the road to himself. Whereas a Christian, who do we want people to follow? Whose light do we shine? Jesus Christ. I can't lead anybody to salvation. I'm the worst sinner I've ever met in my life. There is nobody who's a worse sinner than me. But Jesus has saved me, and he can save you. We don't need to shine the light to us. We shine the light to Jesus. We're the reflection of His light. A wolf in sheep's clothing says, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Jesus says beautifully in verse 40 of Matthew 25, says, I tell you the truth, when you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me. Now, what did He mean by that? What He meant by that is that what separates us from the wolves in sheep's clothing. Yes, we are not perfect. We are not perfect by no means, and sometimes we have brownouts. You know how it is when there's a big storm coming and sometimes our lights kind of flicker a little bit? That's the brownout. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes. Sometimes we're going to do things that we shouldn't do. Sometimes we're going to fall down, and sometimes we're going to stumble. But as as Paul wrote in 1 Timothy 6:12, we got to fight the good fight. We fight the good fight, so that way our light can still shine, no matter how dim our light may get at times. It is still shining, and we need to remember that. Because even when we're down and we seemingly are out and we feel like we're done, somebody's watching us. Somebody's watching. How is Rich going to handle it? How am I going to handle it? How are you going to handle this situation? People are liking it. They're watching you. They're watching you to see just how your light shines, even in the darkest of times. So again, what separates us? I think it's Matthew 25, the entire chapter of Matthew 25. When you do it the least of these, it's about helping people who can't help you back. It's about loving those who say that they hate you. It's about feeding those who can never feed you back. That's what separates us from the wolves in sheep's clothing. And we need to do that each and every day of our lives, no matter what we do for a living, no matter where we have been. We need to be a reflection of that perfect light, because we were in the darkness at one time and Jesus got us out of it. Let's shine that to other people. Why not want to share that? I talked last week about the lottery. That's the ultimate lottery. That's the ultimate jackpot. You miss heaven, you miss Jesus, you miss it all. You miss it all. As one of my favorite songs of all time, 2223 in your black hymnals, they will know we are Christians by our love. That's how you separate. And again, I think that that's all the epitome, that's all what Matthew 25 sums up. They will know we are Christians by our love. A wolf in sheep's clothing can only fake so long before he will be revealed as to who they are. Christians, our lights keep shining on and on and on. And as a church, this is our time of the year coming up with Vacation Bible School, to shine it to these kids. Paige and Amy's doing a wonderful job setting that up. We have lots of kids coming in here, and we're going to shine that light of Jesus to these kids. And then, of course, at the fair, yes, anybody in Franklin County who has the best food tent at the fair, they're going to say Whitcomb. Now we need to let them know what Whitcomb's all about. And that's, we're there because of Jesus Christ. And we're these happy people because of Jesus. And that's an opportunity that's coming up in July. So we have plenty of opportunity to shine that light of Jesus. That baby shines a light every day, doesn't he? Okay, hey. He's the future of our church. Right there, that guy. So let's continue to shine our light to those who cannot see. And let's expose those who are wolves in sheep's clothing. Let us pray.